Hello, my name is Zachary Scott. I'm a student at Northern Arizona University, and today I'm here to talk to you about minimal impact. Now, first, in order to understand minimal impact, we must first define minimal impact. Minimal being the smallest amount, and impact, which means to have a strong effect on someone or something. Now, you may be asking yourself, well, Zach, how would you define it? And I would respond by saying that it's our way of reducing our footprint on the world around us. After some further research, I've actually found that one organization has been leading the charge for minimal impact for years. The Leave No Trace organization has put together 7 principles for us to follow and educate the public in order for us to do our part. Today, I'm going to go ahead and focus on these 7 principles and let you know how we can all do our part in conserving and enjoy Mother Nature. So, the first thing that I'm going to go over with you today is a literature overview. The first piece of literature that I found was called Leave No Trace, Minimal Impact Outdoor Recreation. This is a guidebook that goes over the 7 principles in detail of Leave No Trace. With that, let's go ahead and get into the first principle, which is to plan ahead and prepare. Now, as simple as this sounds, it's a lot more complicated than just knowing where you're going. Basically, what you're going to want to do is just to do your research. Know the terrain, know what to bring, know what not to bring, and know the weather patterns. As the old saying goes, knowing is half the battle, and that's definitely true in natural resource environments. The second principle is to always camp on hard or durable surfaces. Now, the reason for this is that camping on sites that have already been impacted can ensure that deterioration will not affect too large of a landmass. And just remember, guys, good campsites are found, not made, so altering a site isn't really necessary. The third principle is to always dispose of your trash properly. This can sometimes be connected to planning ahead, but sometimes it's hard to plan ahead for the amount of trash that you're going to be bringing with you. So always remember to carry your trash with you until you find the proper place to store it. So let's be honest, guys. Nobody wants to see a bunch of trash along the trail, and neither should you. So always make sure that you find a trash can before disposing of trash. The fourth principle from this guidebook is to always leave what you find. This doesn't just mean leaves or twigs or rocks. This also means to leave the wildlife alone as well. So this means whatever was there when you found it needs to be there when you leave. The fifth principle is to minimize campfire impact. Not only do campfires have a huge effect on our air quality, but also can have a huge effect on an entire area if not properly contained. So remember, even the smallest of embers can create a huge wildfire that can destroy multiple habitats and even our own if not properly contained. So just remember, if you're going to have a campfire, keep it small, keep it contained. So just like we touched on with leave what you find, the sixth principle is to be respectful to wildlife. Do not try to intimidate or directly interact with wildlife. It's not only a danger to them, but also yourself as well. The seventh and last principle of this guidebook basically just goes over that we need to be considerate of other visitors. Even though sometimes it may feel like we're the center of the universe, that's not exactly true. This means that we need to be courteous and respectful to other visitors in order to protect their experience with nature around us. We also need to remember to take breaks and to camp away from trailheads and other campers as well. So there you have it, guys. That's going to be my literature overview. And now we're going to move on to the current application. So the current application case study that I was able to find is called Will They Leave What They Find? The Efficacy of a Leave No Trace Education Program for Youth. Now, the authors of this case study explored the influences of a youth-focused Leave No Trace educational program on participants' attitudes, behaviors, and nature connectedness. This study was an experimental equivalent control group design and included surveys and a direct observation measures. Pre-test and post-test surveys provided self-report measures of attitudes and nature connectedness, while direct observations examined participants' behavior toward keeping or leaving objects found in nature. Participants who received the peak educational program reported positive attitude changes above and beyond participants who did not receive the program, and left more objects found in nature more often than those in the control group. So basically, this case study was a first-hand look into how our youth connects with nature and how we as human beings interact with nature and our environment around us. The students that ended up going through the program ended up showing more positive aspects and signs of their connectedness to nature compared to the students in the control group that didn't have the program at all. Overall, I thought this was a great case study. Youth connectedness with nature will have a huge impact on our future concerns with minimal impact as a whole. So speaking of future issues and concerns, that is our next topic, and we'll go ahead and start with the Leave No Trace organization. It seems like their future is very bright. They literally have hundreds of organizations right now that are signed up to bring awareness to the forefront of minimal impact every year. Having said that, there's always room for improvement. There's a lot of smaller organizations and smaller parks, such as Santee Lakes, where I work at, that could also be contributing towards their plight as well. However, regardless of how many parks and organizations sign up for Leave No Trace or whatever organization that might be leading the cause for minimal impact, sometimes there's just too much apathy within the general public. I personally believe that apathy is going to be the biggest issue when it comes to minimal impact. There's simply going to be people that just do not care how much information you throw at them. They're going to want to do their thing based off what they're doing for the day. Now, having said all that, let me go ahead and give you my best example. At Santee Lakes, we are on a bird migration path, which means we have literally thousands of birds fly in and out every single year. So, having said that, we also have lots of fishermen daily. This creates a huge problem if the fishermen are apathetic towards leaving their fishing line, any gear they might have, or even trash around the park. However, luckily for us, we don't have a shortage of volunteers right now, and we're able to pick up most of the fishing line and most of the trash, but not always all of it. It's hard telling what trash fell to the bottom of the lake, what trash got scooped up by nature, and what trash just simply got left behind. Now, back to my original point about apathy, I think that it is a huge issue, but it can be combated. We need to be the ones that are proactive about telling these apathetic people, when we see someone drop fishing line in the water, we say, hey, you need to pick that up, rather than just ignoring it, because then we're the apathetic ones. And although it may come off as annoying to some people, or we're being eco-freakos about it, we can always do this in a really polite way. And I understand that some people might think it's a way of pushing an agenda, but really it's not. It's being progressive in a conservative type of way. Now again, let me go back to my example of where I work at Santee Lakes. We have a dynamic vision plan in place to expand our park, and with that, we're going to need new policies in order to conserve our park's natural resources a little better. Now with that, I have also emailed my park manager and my park director to see if they have heard of the organization called Leave No Trace, and also to possibly sign up with them to distribute more information when we decide to upgrade our general store and admins building. And I really hope that they take it seriously, because there's a lot of time and resources that are spent cleaning up the lakes rather than working on stuff to improve the lakes. With how much we have planned, hopefully they decide to take it seriously, and we can go ahead and get signed up with Leave No Trace or any organization that might have information on distributing minimal impact. Now, moving on from the subject of apathy, we also want to strive for 100% participation rate in the organization of Leave No Trace, or at least for the sake of minimal impact. I think that Leave No Trace does an excellent job in utilizing social media and just spreading their message as much as they can to other parks and municipalities. But it's also up to those parks and municipalities to extend their hand and say, hey, we need the information. We need people to get on board. Because at the end of the day, this isn't only up to the Leave No Trace organization. This is up to other parks deciding that they want to be involved. They want to be a factor in helping our natural environment thrive, in keeping everything clean, and pretty much just wanting a better future for everyone involved. At the end of the day, this is up to me. This is up to you. This is up to anybody looking to preserve our natural environments for years and years to come into the future. In order to do this, we all have to be willing to do our part. We have to be willing to go the extra mile, such as picking up extra trash around a campsite that we just were at, even if it's not your own trash. This also means fighting the temptation to picking up that pretty flower in the forest and taking it home with you, even though you might think that someone you love might like it. This is very harmful to the cause that Leave No Trace is trying to put forward and trying to implement into our natural resource environments. Alright guys, so with that, we're going to review the 7 principles of Leave No Trace just one more time. Number 1 is to plan and prepare. Number 2, camp on durable surfaces. Number 3 is to dispose of your trash properly. Number 4 is to leave what you find. Number 5 is to minimize campfire impact. Number 6 is to respect wildlife. And number 7 is to respect each other. I do truly believe that these 7 principles will help us in guiding for a better future, not only for ourselves, but for future generations as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Zachary Scott, and I really hope that you enjoyed my presentation.